Alright everyone, hello, my name is Cameron Stone, and this is EverQuest 1. On this, I have multiple characters, but this is my main one, Lord Stonehold, Shadow Seeker, the Earth Warden. The original name was just Stonehold, but at a certain level, I believe it's 20, you get to add a last name, and this is the last name I give to all my characters. At certain levels you get prefixes or titles and suffixes to add to your name if you like different ones. And so these are the ones I picked. But how do you guys like my mount, by the way? For those of you who are already EverQuesters, you'll recognize this as the Celestial Skyrider. One thing I've noticed about this, because I have multiple, I have like 9 mounts, and I have 3 of the main 4 flying horse mounts that you can buy on the marketplace. And this, out of all 9 of my mounts, in fact, seems by far the fastest. But, in any case, I don't notice. I do not like playing like that. Let me get back into my first person view there. See how the bank's doing. I always get slightly laggy around the bank. There's just so many people. There's usually a lot of people and stuff going on here. It's not all that much going on, but it is surely enough to drop my ping quite a bit. Look at that. Or frames per second, I mean. Ping. Wow, about 10. Watch this to get away from it. Well, that's quite a bit of people over here, too. But look at it going up 20, mid-20s. Still kind of sucks. I shouldn't have that bad. I've actually got pretty high speed, like over 100 megabytes a second Wi-Fi. Anyway, so this is EverQuest, and this is not a tutorial or anything. I just wanted to talk about the game. I haven't been on it in a while. I originally started this in 2001. This was just after the first 2 expansion packs. The first was called, I believe, Ruins of Canark, and the second one was Scars of Velius. And then I came into it, started playing in 01, and it was right after that, shortly after that, they came out with the Shadows of Luceland expansion pack, and then some others. Now, I played a Druid back then too, but I only got my Druid up until the 40s. Shoot, I played about 3 years. Now, it didn't take me 3 years to get a Druid up to 40s, but even in those days. But I had multiple characters, I had multiple that were at various higher levels, and of course the level cap limit was something like, I want to say it was 75 or 80 or something back then. I don't recall, but getting to level 40 something, I had a 42 or 43 Druid, and I felt I was doing awesome. I mean, that was great. Got out of it for several years. Got back into it about 3 years ago. Then dropped off again for a little while, and then got back into it a few weeks ago when they started the 18th anniversary. So from when I restarted about 3 years ago, of course I couldn't find my original, 14, 15-year-old account or whatever it was, so started one then. But this is the same account I've had since then, about 3 years or so. So I've got this guy, level 70 Druid, and I have level, what the heck is that, a 40, I think it's a 41 or 42 or 43 Magician, and I have a 61 Necromancer, Now those three, the 43, the 61, and this level 70 druid, I built on my own. I do have two additional characters, which are 85 heroics that were, handed out as part of well, one for the 18th celebration. There was one a couple years ago. I don't remember what it was for. Might have been another one of their anniversary celebrations. Might have been for something else, but they handed out some 85 heroic characters in, so I actually have two of those. By the way, I do not have an all access account, but this is not a regular free account. Not quite. This is a silver account. Back when they still had those, I had done the one-time purchase to get a silver account when they still had them and offered them. But they discontinued those, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I think. But those who had them got to keep them. We were grandfathered. So this means I can get higher level mercs. I can start my own guilds. Have access to a little bit more on the spell list, I think. I'm not sure about that one. But like for example, if I was a free account, I wouldn't be able to acquire that Bloodbone Protector because he's a human. If you go try to do it to get your special thing as a free player, it's just a human. But I got a Bloodbone. So anyway, I don't keep these guys out much unless I'm actually using them. Yeah, leveling up back in the days, like I'm a level 70 druid right now. That's fairly close to the level cap back then. And I'm talking about in the 2001 days. But things were so different now. Let's see, my druid wanted to go, I almost always solo. Not always, but almost always. And my druid, which is one of the best solo classes, druids and necros, at least back then were. Druid is a good solo class, but still, it would take when I went out to a zone to try to level myself up, I was just there by myself. Now I can go with a mount, a mercenary, a familiar, and while my druid can't, there's a handful of races that can get pets. So, for example, I have a necromancer, a 61 necromancer. When that boy goes out, he goes out with himself, a mercenary, a pet, a mount, and a familiar. Now, although the mount and the familiar do not are not actively engaged in anything, they just follow you around. Well, the familiar does. But in any case, they provide other benefits, like a boost to your mana or helps regeneration, things of that nature. So they're counted as well. So, like say my necromancer would be, you see, him, his mercenary, his pet, his familiar, and his mount. So a party of 5. And he's soloing. And the druid, but now it's just so much easier. It would take a good week of hard playing to get up to like levels 10 and 15. And now you can get on with a brand new character and be at level 10 and 15 by the end of the day. You got your mercenaries to either heal you or take the butt kicking for you. I do not have a Flight of Wolf spell on. I'll do that later. Sorry, had to answer a text from a friend. So, Not to be rude answering a text, but it was from a good friend, and you know, I'm not gonna turn down a good friend over a video. So I can redo these anytime, right? So anyway, there's some new things that I don't know about in this game. Some of them are not so much new to you guys, but when I played, like, one, of course, they didn't exist, but when I played 2 or 3 years ago, I don't really recall much of them either, and I was talking to somebody recently, and they were telling me about them, and I didn't know much about them. I think there's a video or two out there somewhere on them, but about the campfires, bringing in people through campfire stuff, I don't know anything about that. When I was told about them, the guy who told me about them said he was going to make a video about them on YouTube, I think. Oh yeah, met a YouTuber a couple of days ago. His name, or nights ago. His name is Cat's Meow. You guys should go check him out. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a bunch of EverQuest videos on there, like not instructional type thing, telling you, or sort of like guide videos. How to, best character choices, best zones to level up at certain levels, things of that nature. He's pretty well versed in the rules and byways of EverQuest, and has some pretty good insights, even for the older players. You go check it out. YouTuber called Cat's Meow. Pretty good guy. He plays on the same server I do by chance, which is the Vox server, although I do believe he plays on more than one server. Let's toss a Spirit of Eagle on myself. There we go. Wasn't caring for the not floating around bit. Yeah, not having a full access account kind of sucks, but I got so many different things that I'm subscribed to already, it's like if every game that had a subscription service version along with their paid service, if I chose the subscription service, I'd be paying thousands a month. I mean, most of them are 5, 10, 15, 20, but when you're playing 10, 20, 30 of these, you have to pick your absolute favorites, if any at all, that you're going to pay for full access accounts, and keep the rest as free accounts. It's just a financial necessity for some of us. But I still manage to do quite fine. I do spend money from time to time on the account. I used to buy those EverQuest cards like at Walmart and so on, but they don't do that anymore. But I still put money, use a debit card and toss money on here every now and then. Make sure I got enough goods to buy another mount or sets of armor or ornamentation sets for a weapon or something. Well, I got some pretty crappy FPS tonight. I don't know why. It could be the recording. I don't usually record. I don't ever record on EverQuest. A couple other games I have, Minecraft, Rust, I think. I think I did some and recorded some Empyrean, Galactic Survival. This is the first time I've recorded on EverQuest, and it sure is affecting my frame rate pretty bad. I'm gonna have to look into that. Any case, you guys remember back in the old days when, for example, if you wanted to go travel places, it was druids like myself you'd talk to. Wizards and druids were the only classes that could teleport, and still are. However, back then, this is 2001 period when I started, they didn't have Plane of Knowledge and all these stones that you could just go click on and teleport around the world. If you wanted to go anywhere, you either, put your Spirit of Wolf on, or you ported there. So imagine you were out exploring with your newly dinged level 20 something, got you some new spells and a new pet and a, whatever, and you're wanting to go out there and hurt something. So you go out there and you go exploring further out than you have before. Find yourself several zones away from your home zone. Home zones were more of a thing then than they are now. But let's say you got your butt kicked and you died. Well, back then your corpse had a certain amount of time, fairly short, before it would despawn. And when it did, oh, by the way, when you died, all your stuff stayed on your corpse. So when you died, you respawned at your bind point, butt naked, except for your original clothing that you that you started the game with. You get like like a loincloth and a chest piece and a pair of sandals or something, and that's it. And so you had to go back to your corpse to get your stuff back. And so necromancers were popular because they could summon your corpse as well as resurrect you up. Druids were very popular because they could teleport you to either to the zone you died in or fairly close to it, and put a Spirit of Wolf spell on you so you could run the rest of the way. But yeah, that you would hear this phrase, "Has anybody seen my corpse?" like every 30 seconds in the chat. And you would see druids like myself. I'd have a hot bar up, a hot button up, where I'd push a couple of buttons here, and it would say porting to, and I'd name like half a dozen places I could port to, and it would say for donations. You didn't usually just say for X amount of money, but the going rate was about 50 plat, if I recall. But if it were individuals, you could often get much less than that, but it was okay. But quite often you would have a whole group, that were just all grouped high levels, grouping together, trying to level themselves up somewhere more badass than you can go, and they just all got wiped. And every one of them needs to get ported back to where they were before their stuff's gone, their high levels. But they got money because they're high levels, so you ended up getting a lot of platinum and or gear. The bazaar function was different back then, as in it did not exist. In 2001, there was no bazaar physical structure that you took your character to, nor was a bazaar program or function. There was, you went through, what was it, West Freeport, and you would enter the Common Lands. I think technically it's called EC, Eastern Common Lands, or something like that, East Common Land. You would stay on the side of the mountains, and there's a tunnel in the mountains, the EC tunnel. It's this wide, broad tunnel part way up the mountainside, and there were torches on both sides, sporadically lit, and people would just be lined up on each side of that tunnel. So if you wanted to buy something, that is where you went. If you wanted to sell something, this is between players, that's where you went. If you wanted to trade something, that's where you went. If you wanted to buy something, but the merchants who had it charged too much, and you were hoping you could find players who had it but cheaper, that's where you went. That was the bazaar. Later on, they came out with a physical bazaar. It was like a large underground cave with a couple of small bank buildings at one end. The other end, I believe, had like stables, I think. And this is back when they first introduced the first mounts, which were just regular horses, no winged mounts, just some regular horses. Charged you up the wazoo for them too. But in the center of the big open cavern was these slightly raised, like 6-inch high stone, like step-ups, like steps, that were just like a long stretch of floor that was just raised up 6 inches higher, and there was like several of those, like aisles or rows, and your character would stand there, and you would put yourself in a trader mode and sell the things you had on you. You couldn't play another character while you're doing that. You could go AFK forever, but you couldn't play another character while you were doing that. So it was quite the hassle. Anyway, so now they have the bazaar building that you go to through the plane of knowledge, and that's much easier to work with, I think. And of course that bazaar function where you can pull up your bazaar like this. And like I have mine as a hot button hotkey, but if you were to type in Bazaar, this is what you'd get. And you would, if you knew what you wanted, you could type in the name. If you didn't want a specific item, you just wanted to search for a type of item that might fit your class or something, then you would, fill in like slots, stats, race, class, type, so on. It's all fairly self-explanatory, and you'd hit search, and it would bring up whoever had them. If you were in the Bazaar building, you could just click the Find Trader or something like that, I believe it is, and it'll take you straight. I mean, you can follow that light path. If you're not, you can still buy it. You just have to, it'll be sent to you via parcel service, I believe, which I've never used. So, what I'm doing this evening is I'm testing out some new recording gear, and which is very much affecting my frames. Surprising. Maybe if I go where there's less people, that'll make a significant difference. See, because there's, usually, just want to see if my frame increases significantly. Well, definitely went up some. There are some folks out there fighting. Oh, I just saw hills on hills and a buffer too on lower levels from time to time. I would have done more, but I don't have the proper spells up right now. But sometimes I'll just sit somewhere and send out a shout or out a character that I'm sitting at a certain location that they can come to. They can get some buffs or Spirit of Wolf. Druids do the Spirit of Wolf spell, the speed increase spell, so it's really popular. Well, these guys are just gonna keep on taking on the big guys all the time. New video recording equipment I have, or not equipment, software, and game bar that you can pull up in a game, and you can hit, can record from there. And I tried that earlier today on EverQuest here, and it didn't take anything. I went to the to where it sends to on my computer, and I found it, but I couldn't get it to do anything. It was like this bunk folder here, and I'll take a look at it again. Maybe I was trying a different way. Maybe it's encoded a certain way, or a file type I'm not familiar with. So I'll look into that. Otherwise, I downloaded and put on a Bandicam. That's what I'm trying right now. Boy, that's putting a hit on my frames. So I'm gonna see what this looks like, and I just wanted to. Only thing I wanted to talk about is the difference as it was like back in '01 when I started originally, and now as far as like with the mercenaries and oh my goodness, don't get me started on the gear. Look at this stuff. Back when I was originally playing, there was no ornamentation slot, no augmentation slot. You know, none of these things existed. So your numbers here were always far lower. And most items didn't even have a lot of stuff like these. um, it was crazy. I mean, this would be something, this is a level 70 to 75. This would be, I don't even know if, I mean, I don't even know if level 100 would have something like this back in the day. You couldn't augment your stuff at all because there were no such things as these slots or the ornamentation slots. You couldn't change how things looked. That was a huge thing. No mounts. We didn't have familiars. This whole plane of knowledge didn't exist. This lady here, loyalist. Yeah. What have I got for points with you lately? 3,960. Not bad. I had like 5,000 something a couple of weeks ago. Spent. I don't know what I bought. Oh, I think I bought that silly old confectioner's contract where you get that that gingerbread man for a mercenary. I got it from my magician. God, that's a silly thing, man. It sure is interesting, though. You know, it's nice. You know, not everything has to be, you know, serious and so on. Look at this guy. Whoa, he disappeared. Must have knew I was coming. So anyway, I may make some more videos, gameplay videos. I don't know yet. On this game. I don't know. I also play Minecraft, Rust, Empyrean, 7 Days to Die, MechWarrior Online. Those are the main ones. A few others, but those are main ones. So, anyway, just testing this video out. I will probably throw it up on YouTube just to have another video on my list on YouTube. And if anybody would like me to answer some questions, there are still some things that I'm not familiar with. I just never did. Don't know anything about the campfire stuff, for example. You know, I've never had a level higher than the 85 heroics they were giving out. So there's lots of zones I've never been to. But there is lots of stuff I do know. So if anybody needs some help or needs some questions, I can usually answer them or find the answer. But I am not your typical probably gamer out here, being nearly 50 and retired. I'm lots of things. I'm a dirty, rotten scoundrel of a Democrat and a heathen of an atheist. But anyway, I'm going to get off of this and see how the video came out, and I may be talking to you guys later. Thank you for your help.